My name is Darcy Ingram. I was 32 years old when my father sent my 8-year-old daughter outside in the middle of a thunderstorm. 3 hours. That was how long Lily stayed alone in a storm drain before anyone found her. 3 hours with rain hitting her face. 3 hours with wind cutting through her jacket. 3 hours of thunder rolling so hard it made the concrete beneath her shake. She was 8 years old. She weighed 52 pounds. And my father opened the door and forced her out as if she were nothing more than a problem he wanted gone. He did it because of one lie. A lie told by her 10-year-old cousin. A lie my parents accepted without a single question. Because asking questions would have meant facing the truth about who they had been protecting all along. What happened in that hospital room 3 hours later, and what my father said when he saw me sitting beside Lily's bed, changed everything. But what none of them knew was that by then I had already made the phone call that would turn their entire world upside down. I joined the Army at 18, not because I dreamed about uniforms, salutes, or life on a base. I joined because it was the one door my father could not shut in my face. Ray Ingram had always known exactly what kind of daughter he wanted me to be. He wanted me married young, close to home, grateful for everything he gave me, silent about everything he didn't. My sister Jenna became that daughter. She married Derek Walsh at 21, had Tyler at 22, and moved into a house just 10 minutes away from our parents. At her wedding, my father smiled like a man who had just won the biggest prize of his life. I chose a different road, ROTC, Officer Candidate School, then a logistics commission out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And with every step I took farther from home, my father's silence grew louder. By 24, I was a first lieutenant managing supply chains for a brigade. By 25, I was pregnant. The father was a civilian contractor named Marcus. He left when I was 6 months along. No forwarding address, no call, no explanation beyond an empty apartment and a note that said, "I'm not ready." So I had Lily alone. I raised her in base housing, on meal plans, careful schedules, and every bit of leave I could save. My mother called once a week, my father called once a month, and every time they called, the question was always the same. "When are you coming home, Darcy?" I never gave them the answer they wanted, but I always answered Lily, "Where are we going next, Mommy?" "Wherever the Army sends us, baby, and we'll make it work." I was good at making things work. What I was not good at was seeing what happened when I wasn't there to protect her with my own eyes. When I received orders for a 9-month rotation in Kuwait, I had 72 hours to complete my family care plan. Every military parent knows that form. You name a caregiver, you sign the paperwork, you leave your child with someone you are supposed to trust, then fly halfway across the world hoping your choice was the right one. My parents volunteered before I even asked. My mother called the morning after I told her about the assignment. "She's our granddaughter," she said. "Of course we'll take her." I remember feeling relieved. Lily would have a house with a yard, a good school district, 2 grandparents who had raised 2 children of their own. The other option was the wife of a friend from the Army, a woman Lily had only met twice. At the time, the choice felt obvious. I signed the family care plan naming Ray and Connie Ingram as Lily's temporary legal guardians. I also set up an automatic transfer of $1,200 a month into their checking account. Food, child care, school supplies, anything Lily needed. My father never mentioned the money, not once. Later I found out he never mentioned it to Jenna either. Jenna's son, Tyler, was already almost living at my parents' house. He had his own bedroom there, his own toothbrush in the bathroom, a drawer full of clothes. When Lily arrived with her suitcase, my mother put her in the guest room. The one with the pull-out couch, the one with no curtains. Tyler had baseball posters on the walls and a rocket-shaped nightlight beside his bed. Lily had a couch that folded. I did not know that then. Lily did not tell me. And when I asked my mother if Lily was settling in, she said, "She's adjusting just fine." That was the first lie. It would not be the last. The night before I left, I sat on Lily's bed in our base housing apartment and pulled a small card from my pocket. Her military dependent ID. Her picture was on the front. My name was printed underneath it. An emergency contact number was on the back. I clipped it inside the pocket of her backpack. "What's that for?" she asked. "This tells anyone who finds you that you belong to me," I said. "No matter where I am, no matter how far away. You show someone this card, and they will call your mom." She ran her fingers across the plastic. Even if you're in another country? Even then. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something I should have paid much closer attention to. What if Grandpa gets mad again? Again. I stopped packing the water bottle in my hand and looked at her. What do you mean, again? She picked at the edge of her blanket. Nothing. He just gets loud sometimes. Loud how? Like when Tyler breaks something and Grandpa thinks I did it. He yells. But then Grandma says it's fine. I knelt in front of her. Has Grandpa ever scared you? She shrugged. That small 8-year-old shrug. The kind that says yes, even when a child does not know how to explain it yet. I stored it away in my mind. I told myself I would pay closer attention during calls. I told myself I would ask my mother about it. I told myself my father was strict, not unsafe. Most of all, I told myself Lily would be okay. I was wrong. And by the time I understood just how wrong I was, my daughter was 4 blocks away from my parents' house, alone in a storm drain. I kissed her forehead that night. I'll call you every week, I promised. Promise? Promise. I kept my promise. My parents did not keep theirs. Kuwait was hot, flat, and 18 hours ahead of Tennessee. My workdays usually ran 12 to 14 hours while I managed supply routes for 3 forward operating bases. I scheduled my video calls for 6 in the morning my time, noon back home, because that was Lily's lunch break at school. Except the calls never happened at school. My mother insisted they happen from the kitchen. Better Wi-Fi, she said. But after the second week, the real reason became clear. Connie was always in the frame, hovering behind Lily, adjusting the camera angle, smiling too much. How's school, baby? Fine. What did you do today? Stuff. Are you and Tyler getting along? A pause. I don't know. Lily used to talk for 20 minutes straight. She would tell me about a caterpillar she found, about a girl in her class who could burp the alphabet, about a bird that landed on the playground fence and stared at everyone like it owned the school. Now she gave me one-word answers, and every few seconds she looked past the camera like she was waiting for permission to speak. I asked my mother directly, "Is something going on with Lily? She seems different." Connie waved it away. "She's adjusting. Kids do that when their routine changes. She just needs time." Can I talk to her alone next time, without you in the room? The Wi-Fi is better in the kitchen, Darcy. You know that. I did not push. I should have. 2 weeks later, I noticed something else. Lily stopped saying Tyler's name. Before, it had always been, "Tyler and I played in the yard," or "Tyler showed me his baseball cards." Now, when I asked about him, she would look down and change the subject. Now, whenever I asked about him, there was only silence. "Are you and Tyler doing okay?" Lily looked down. "Yeah." "You sure?" "Can I go now, Mom? Grandma says lunch is ready." So I let her go. I should not have. The care package arrived on a Tuesday. It was a brown cardboard box, the label stamped a little crooked, my mother's handwriting written across the front. Inside were 2 bags of Lily's favorite gummy bears, a photo of her at a school event, and 1 folded piece of construction paper. I opened the drawing. It was made with bright crayons and simple stick figures. On the left side of the page there was a tall man, a woman with curly hair, a smaller woman holding hands with a boy. They were all standing together. They were all smiling. Red, yellow, blue. Bright colors. Happy faces. And on the right side of the page there was 1 small figure. No smile, brown hair, standing alone. No one was holding her hand. At the bottom, in Lily's careful child handwriting, were 2 words. My family. I sat on my bunk and stared at that drawing for a long time. My daughter had drawn herself outside of her own family. I called home immediately. My father answered. His voice already had that sharp edge it always carried when I interrupted one of his evening shows. "Is Lily there?" "She's upstairs. What do you want?" "I got a drawing from her," I said. "She drew the family, and she put herself off to the side, alone." There was silence. Then he made a low sound, like I had wasted his time. "Kids draw nonsense, Darcy. Don't make something out of nothing." She drew everyone else holding hands. She drew herself by herself. "She's fine. Your mother takes good care of her." Then his voice changed. Colder. Maybe if you were here instead of playing soldier on the other side of the world, your daughter wouldn't be drawing sad pictures. Then he hung up. I sat there with the phone still in my hand. After a minute, I reached into my footlocker and pulled out a small notebook with a hard green cover and an elastic band. I wrote down the date. I wrote down exactly what he had said. I wrote down what the drawing showed. Then I folded Lily's picture carefully and slipped it into the breast pocket of my uniform. It stayed there for 4 months, pressed against my chest, close to my heart. After that, I started paying attention to the details I had been missing. Small things, quiet things, the kind of things that do not look like much on their own, but start telling a very different story once you put them together. Lily's school had an online parent portal. I could see attendance records, teacher notes, after-school pickup logs. I checked it every morning before my shift. Tyler Walsh was picked up by Ray Ingram every day at 3:15. Car pickup lane, same time, every day. Lily Ingram was enrolled in the extended day program. Pickup time, 5:30, sometimes later. And on her emergency contact form, the listed parent contact was my mother, not my father. He had not even put his name on her file. I called the school office. The receptionist was kind. "Lily is doing well academically," she told me. "She's quiet, though. Very quiet." "Does someone pick her up after school?" "She's in the extended day program. Her grandmother usually picks her up around 5:30, sometimes closer to 6. Tyler left at 3:15. Lily waited 2 more hours every day. Then came Tyler's birthday in October. I saw the photos on Jenna's social media. 15 kids, a bounce house in the backyard, a cake shaped like a baseball diamond. My parents were standing behind the table, smiling proudly over a mountain of presents they had clearly helped pay for. Then Lily's birthday came in January. My mother sent me one photo. Just one. Lily sat at the kitchen table in front of a store-bought cake. No candles, no friends, no decorations, just my mother standing behind her and a paper plate with a slice of yellow cake. I called my mother that night. Why was Lily's birthday so different from Tyler's? "We already spent a lot this month, Darcy, and Lily didn't want a big party." "She's 8. What 8-year-old doesn't want a party?" My mother sighed. "Tyler lives here full-time. Lily is temporary." Temporary. She said it like it was just a fact. But it felt like a blade, because right then I understood something I had been trying not to see. In my parents' house, my daughter was a guest. Tyler was the grandchild. That night, I sat down at the communication station at 0300 and typed a hardship reassignment request. 2 pages, single-spaced, fax only. Military regulation allows an early return when the conditions of a family care plan change in a serious way. I wrote that I had documented concerns about how my designated caregivers were treating my dependent child. I attached the school counselor's contact information, the pickup log discrepancy, and a scanned copy of Lily's drawing. My commander, Colonel Barrett, read it the next day. He called me into his office, told me to sit down, and looked at me for a long moment. "Ingram," he said, "is your daughter safe?" I answered him honestly. "I don't know, sir, and that's the problem." He signed the request that afternoon and sent it up the chain. Then I called Captain Elena Rivera, JAG. We had served together at Fort Sill 3 years earlier, and she owed me a favor from the time I covered her supply audit when her kid got sick. "Rivera, I need legal advice," I said. "Off the record for now." "Talk to me." "My parents are my designated caregivers for Lily. I think there's favoritism, maybe worse. I need to know what my options are." She did not hesitate. "Document everything. Screenshots, school reports, dates, times, calls, messages. If this becomes official, you want a paper trail that started before everything falls apart, not after. There hasn't been one major event. Then you're ahead of the curve. Stay there." So I spent the next 2 months building a file, every phone call, every strange answer, every drawing, every school note, every text from my mother. I saved all of it in a folder on my laptop labeled Family. I did not tell my parents I was asking to come home early. I did not tell Jenna. I did not tell anyone except Rivera and Colonel Barrett. 2 months of paperwork, 2 months of waiting. And then, 3 weeks before my reassignment was approved, Tyler told the lie that changed everything. I had trusted my parents with the most important person in my life, and for 2 years, I missed the signs that my daughter was slowly disappearing inside her own family. Now, whenever I asked about Tyler, Lily would go quiet. "Are you and Tyler doing okay?" She looked down. "Yeah." "You sure?" "Can I go now, Mom? Grandma says lunch is ready." So I let her go. I should not have. Tyler Walsh had been making things up about Lily for months. I just did not understand how far it had gone until much later. The first time seemed small, a broken television remote. Tyler had thrown it at the wall after getting upset over a video game. When Ray came into the living room, Tyler pointed straight at Lily. She dropped it. Lily said she did not. Ray told her to stop making excuses and sent her to her room. The second time was about cookies. My mother had baked a tray of snickerdoodles for Tyler's classroom party. By morning, half of them were gone. Tyler told Connie that Lily had eaten them after dinner. The truth was, Tyler had given them to his friend from across the street. My mother never asked Lily what happened. She simply said, "You need to learn some self-control." The third time cut deeper. Tyler told his teacher that Lily had said something unkind to him at recess. The teacher separated them for a week. When the school counselor looked into it, no one could confirm Tyler's story. But by then, the separation had already happened, and Lily had spent that entire week eating lunch alone. Every time the pattern was the same. Tyler spoke. The adults believed him. Lily tried to explain. The adults brushed her off. Once, my mother told Lily, "Don't be a tattletale. Nobody likes a child who makes up stories." After that, Lily stopped telling people things. Instead, she drew. I learned most of this later from the school counselor, Mrs. Patterson. She had been meeting with Lily once a week since November. Lily trusted her because Mrs. Patterson never rushed her. She never interrupted the drawings. She just sat quietly and waited. Later, Mrs. Patterson told me, "Your daughter does not say much, but her drawings say everything." Ray had one rule in that house. Simple, unspoken. Absolute. Tyler did not make things up, and anyone who said otherwise became the problem. My mother had a pearl necklace she treated like it was made from moonlight. It had belonged to her mother, and before that, to her grandmother. 3 generations of Ingram women had worn it at weddings, christenings, and milestone birthdays. My mother kept it in a small velvet box on her dresser and took it out every Sunday before church. One Sunday in February, during a family dinner I was not there for, my mother brought the velvet box to the table. She opened it in front of Tyler. "This belonged to your great-great-grandmother," she said. "Someday, when you're older, I'll pass it down to you." Tyler's eyes went wide. He reached for it and Connie let him hold it. She watched him turn the pearls over in his small hands, smiling like she was watching a sacred family tradition continue. Lily sat across the table and asked softly, "Can I hold it too?" My mother did not even look at her. "Not right now, sweetheart. You might drop it." Tyler smirked. Lily put her hands in her lap. Jenna, sitting beside Tyler, leaned toward my mother and said just loud enough for Lily to hear, "You know Lily's clumsy. Remember the vase?" The vase. A ceramic vase Tyler had knocked off a shelf while roughhousing. He told my parents Lily had bumped into it. They believed him, and my mother spent the rest of that evening reminding Lily to be more careful with other people's things. After dinner, Lily went to the guest room. She sat at her little desk and drew. She did not come out until my mother called her for her bath. No one checked on her. No one asked what she was drawing. No one noticed she had gone quiet again. Mrs. Patterson called me on a Saturday morning. It was 5 in the afternoon in Tennessee. I was eating dinner in the mess hall when my personal phone buzzed with a number I did not recognize. "Lieutenant Ingram, this is Gail Patterson. I'm the counselor at Millbridge Elementary. I work with Lily." I stepped outside. The wind was hot and smelled like dust and diesel. "Is she okay?" "Physically, yes," she said. "But I wanted to speak with you about some patterns I've been seeing." She told me Lily had become more withdrawn since January. She no longer played with other children at recess. She sat in the corner of the cafeteria and drew. And when adults raised their voices nearby, she went completely still. Then Mrs. Patterson told me something that made my hand tighten around the railing. She told me her grandfather says she is not a real Ingram. I closed my eyes. The heat pressed against my face. "He said that?" Those were her exact words, Mrs. Patterson said. She told me he said real Ingrams do not take things that are not theirs, and real Ingrams do not make up stories. Not a real Ingram. My father had said those same words to me the day I told him I was enlisting. He had stood in the kitchen of the house I grew up in and said, "Real Ingrams stay with their family. You're walking away from everything." And now he was saying it to my daughter. 8 years old, 52 pounds, a child who was already wondering whether she belonged. Mrs. Patterson continued carefully. "I am not required to make an official report at this point, but I wanted you to be aware." "Thank you," I said. "Can you send me your session notes? I can email them to your military address by Monday." I ended the call, forwarded the voicemail to Rivera, and opened the green notebook. Then I added 3 more lines. My father had learned nothing, and my daughter was learning all the wrong things. I called Jenna the next day. I told myself it would be a conversation between sisters. Calm, honest. 2 mothers talking about what was best for the children. It lasted 4 minutes. "Is Lily doing okay at Mom and Dad's?" I asked. "Her school counselor says she's been really withdrawn." Jenna sighed. Not a tired sigh. The kind of sigh people make when they want you to hear how inconvenient your concern is. "She's fine, Darcy. She just needs to learn her place." I went still. "Tyler has been there longer," Jenna continued. "He knows the routine." "She needs to learn her place." I let those words sit in my ear for a full 3 seconds before I trusted myself to speak. "What does that mean, Jen? Learn her place?" "It means your daughter walks around that house like she's a guest instead of helping. Tyler helps Dad in the garage. Tyler sets the table without being asked. Lily sits in her room and draws. She's 8. Tyler was doing chores 8. Tyler has 2 parents and a bedroom with a nightlight. Lily has a pull-out couch." Silence. Then Jenna said the one thing I was not prepared for. "I told Mom and Dad maybe you should just let them adopt Lily." The room around me seemed to narrow. "You're never here anyway," she said. "She needs stability, Darcy. She needs a real family environment." My throat tightened. Not because I was about to cry, because I was trying very hard to keep my voice steady. Adopt my daughter? I'm just saying what everyone is thinking. I ended the call without another word. Then I opened my laptop, pulled up the Army Legal Assistance portal, and started drafting notes for a formal custody review. My sister wanted my parents to adopt my child, and she had said it out loud like it was reasonable, like my motherhood was some agreement that had run out of time. That night, I made a decision. When I came home, I would not come home empty-handed. I would come home prepared, not with anger, not with threats, with paperwork. 3 weeks later, my reassignment came through. I was going home. Colonel Barrett handed me the paperwork in his office. His expression was half relief, half concern. "Ingram," he said, "whatever is happening back there, handle it. Your kid needs you more than logistics does." I packed my footlocker in 40 minutes. The green notebook, my laptop, my phone charger, Lily's drawing tucked inside my breast pocket. Everything else was Army issue and could stay behind. My flight left Kuwait at 0600. 17 hours of turbulence, terminals, and layovers later, I landed at Nashville International Airport at 2 in the afternoon, Central Time. I rented a car at the Hertz counter using my military ID. Then I drove to a Holiday Inn 12 minutes from my parents' house. I did not call them. I did not drive past their house. I sat on the edge of the hotel bed with my phone in my hand and called Rivera. "I'm stateside," I told her. "Landed 2 hours ago." "Good," she said. "Your family care plan revocation request is drafted. I can file it first thing Monday morning." "What happens after you file?" "Your parents lose designated caregiver status. Legal guardianship returns to you immediately. If they refuse to give Lily back, we go to family court. And if something happens before Monday? Then we file emergency. But Darcy, listen to me. Let the process work. If you confront them now, they will play victim. Your father will say you're unstable. Your mother will cry. Your sister will tell everyone you left your daughter behind and now you're attacking the people who stepped in." She was right. I knew she was right. "Do not tell anyone you're back," Rivera said. "Go to the school first. Talk to the counselor. Build your case in daylight." I had come home, But this time I was not coming home as their daughter, I was coming home as Lily's mother, and my parents were about to learn that those were two very different things. The next morning I drove to Millbridge Elementary. It was 9:15 on a Thursday. The parking lot smelled like wet mulch and bus exhaust. Mrs. Patterson was waiting for me with a thick manila folder in her hands. My daughter's name was written on the tab in blue ink. "Thank you for meeting me," I said. "I've been hoping you would come." She opened the folder on her desk. Inside were 6 months of Lily's drawings, arranged by date. The first one was from September. Lily and Tyler at a table. Tyler was drawn bigger, Lily smaller, but both of them were smiling. Normal. Simple. Fine. Then October. The family stood together, but Lily was drawn a little to the left, still smiling. But now there was a gap between her and everyone else. November. Lily's figure was smaller, the other figures were taller. No one was holding her hand. December. Grandpa's face filled the page, a large red circle, a mouth drawn wide open. At the bottom, there was one tiny figure with blue dots for tears. January. Tyler's birthday. A boy surrounded by balloons, people, and presents. In the bottom corner, a girl with brown hair sat alone. An X was drawn over her body. Then February. Only 2 figures, one small with brown hair, one tall wearing green. They were holding hands. The caption was written in shaky letters. "What I want." I turned that last drawing over in my hands 3 times. Mrs. Patterson spoke softly. "She drew you in your uniform." "I know." "She stopped drawing her grandparents after December," she said. "She stopped including them at all." I photographed every drawing, front and back, making sure each date was visible. Then I photographed Mrs. Patterson's session notes, 12 pages of observations, quotes, behavior changes, warning signs. I sent the entire file to Rivera. After that, I sat in my rental car in the school parking lot and cried. Not the quiet kind of crying, the kind that starts deep in your chest. The kind where you grip the steering wheel because if you let go, your hands might not stop shaking. 7 months overseas. 7 months of 12-hour shifts and satellite calls. 7 months of hearing, "She's adjusting just fine." But those drawings told the truth. And in court, they were going to speak louder than anything I ever could. That afternoon, I parked across the street from my parents' house. It was 3:45. The school bus was due any minute. Tyler came first. My father walked out to meet him at the curb, ruffled his hair, took his backpack, and said something I could not hear. Whatever it was, it made Tyler laugh. They walked inside together. The door stayed open. 20 minutes later, the second bus pulled up. Lily stepped off and stood on the sidewalk for a moment, adjusting the straps of her backpack. Then she walked up the driveway. The front door was closed. She knocked. My 8-year-old daughter knocked on the door of the house she had been living in for more than a year. My mother opened it. No hug, no smile, no warm greeting. "Wipe your shoes and pick up your things from the hallway." Lily walked inside. The door closed behind her. Through the front window, I could see Tyler stretched out on the couch, snack plate beside him, television on, feet up. Lily disappeared upstairs within 30 seconds. I sat in my car with both hands on the steering wheel and forced myself to breathe. Then I called Mrs. Calloway. Phyllis Calloway was 70 years old and had lived next door to my parents since before I was born. She had taught me how to make lemonade when I was 6. Every Thanksgiving, she brought my mother a pie. "Mrs. Calloway, it's Darcy. I'm back from deployment." "Darcy," she said softly. "Oh, honey. I'm glad you called. I need to ask you something about Lily." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "That little girl sits on the porch alone almost every evening after dinner, Darcy. Tyler plays in the yard with your father, and Lily just sits there by herself." My chest tightened. "Have you seen anything else?" "Your father speaks to her like she is a burden," she said. "I can hear him through the walls. It has been getting worse since Christmas." I wrote down every word, date, time, details. That evening, I drove to my parents' house. I told myself I was only going to check. Maybe park in the driveway, maybe knock, maybe take Lily with me right then. I pulled in at 7:15. The kitchen light was on. The television flickered through the living room window. Then I heard my father's voice through the front door, loud enough to reach the car. "I told you to clean up after dinner. Tyler does not have to remind you twice." Lily's voice came next, small, careful. "I did clean up, Grandpa. Do not talk back to me. Go upstairs and stay there until you can behave." A pause, the creak of the stairs, then silence. My hand was already on the car door, my fingers wrapped around the handle. Every part of me wanted to walk up those steps, open that door, and carry Lily to the car without saying one word to my father, but Rivera's voice was louder than my anger. "If you confront them now, they will play victim. You need the system on your side." I closed my eyes and pulled my hand away from the handle. Then I backed out of the driveway, drove 4 blocks, and pulled over. That was the hardest 3-point turn I had ever made in my life. I called Rivera from the hotel parking lot. "File the family care plan revocation first thing tomorrow. I want it on record." "Done," she said. "I'll have the paperwork submitted by 0900. "Rivera, what if something happens before then? Then you call 911. Then you call me. In that order." I sat in the hotel room that night and stared at the ceiling. 9 hours until morning. 9 hours until the paperwork could be filed. 9 hours of trusting that nothing would go wrong. But I did not have 9 hours, because the storm came that night. This is what happened inside my parents' house that evening. I learned the details later from Tyler's interview, from Mrs. Calloway, and from my mother's own tearful confession. Around 8:30, my mother went upstairs to set out her necklace for church the next morning. She opened the small velvet box on her dresser. It was empty. She searched the bedroom first, then the bathroom, then the hallway. Then she went downstairs and started opening drawers in the kitchen, the living room, and the front closet. "Ray," she said, her voice shaking, "my necklace is gone. I can't find it anywhere." My father stood up from his recliner. "What do you mean, gone? It's not in the box. It's not on the dresser. I've looked everywhere." Tyler was in the living room. He watched the panic build for about 90 seconds. Then he walked over to my father. "Grandpa," he said, "I saw Lily put something in her backpack earlier after school. She was acting weird about it." My father did not ask one follow-up question. He did not ask Tyler what he had seen. He did not ask when it happened. He did not ask Lily anything. He walked straight to the guest room, picked up Lily's backpack from the floor, and unzipped it. The pearl necklace was inside. Tyler had placed it there earlier that afternoon while Lily was upstairs doing homework. He had taken it from the velvet box, carried it to the guest room, and slipped it into the front pocket of her bag. Then he zipped it closed and went back to watching television. He was 10 years old, and he knew exactly what would happen. My father's face turned a shade of red I had only seen once before. The day I told him I was joining the army. "Lily, get down here now." She came down the stairs in her pajamas, bare feet touching the hardwood floor, hands at her sides. She had no idea what was waiting for her. The storm had been building since sundown. By 8:45, the rain was coming in hard at an angle. Wind shook the gutters and sent branches scraping across the roof. It was a March thunderstorm in Tennessee, the kind that turns streets into streams and makes the lights flicker. Inside the house, my father held up the pearl necklace in one hand and Lily's backpack in the other. "You took this from your grandmother's dresser." "I didn't, Grandpa. I didn't take it." "It was in your bag." "I don't know how it got there." He dropped the backpack onto the floor. 2 years, he said. 2 years I have put up with this. The attitude, the excuses, sneaking around, making everyone else the problem. My mother stood behind him, clutching the necklace to her chest. She said nothing. She did not defend Lily. She did not ask questions. She did not even look unsure. Jenna arrived 10 minutes later. My parents had called her. She walked in, saw Lily sitting on the bottom stair, and crossed her arms. "This is what happens when a child does not have structure," Jenna said. "I have been saying it for months." Tyler stood in the living room doorway. He did not speak. He just picked at his fingernails and watched. My father leaned over Lily. "Do you have anything to say for yourself?" "I didn't do it, Grandpa." He straightened, looked at my mother, then at Jenna, then back at Lily. "Tyler said he saw you. Your grandmother is heartbroken, and you are sitting here lying to my face." Thunder cracked outside. The kitchen window rattled. Lily pressed her back against the stair railing and pulled her knees to her chest. She did not cry. She just became very, very still. The kind of still a child learns when the adults around her no longer feel predictable. And then my father said the words that led to the hospital room. He stood over her on the stairs, with Jenna behind one shoulder and my mother behind the other. "I've had enough of you." His voice filled the hallway like it owned the walls. 2 years of this behavior. The lies, the attitude, taking things that are not yours. "I didn't take anything, Grandpa." Tyler does not lie. He said it the way some people say scripture. Final, absolute, unquestionable. Tyler did not lie. The sun rose in the east, water was wet, and Tyler did not lie. My mother touched my father's arm. "Ray, maybe we should—" He pulled away from her. "No, I'm done. She needs to learn what happens when she disrespects this family." From behind him, Jenna said, "Dad's right. This has gone too far." Tyler still stood in the doorway, silent, his back pressed against the frame while he picked at the skin around his thumbnail. A nervous habit, the kind a 10-year-old gets when a lie has grown much bigger than he expected. My father reached down, picked Lily's backpack up from the floor, and pushed it into her lap. "You want to act like you do not belong here? Fine." Lily looked at him. Then she looked past him, toward my mother. Connie's eyes were wet, but her mouth was a flat line. She did not move. She did not reach for Lily. She did not step between them. Then Lily looked at Jenna. Jenna uncrossed her arms just long enough to check her phone. My daughter looked at every adult in that hallway, and not one of them truly looked back. My father walked to the front door. The sound of rain filled the house the moment he turned the handle. The wind pushed the door open wider than he meant it to. He did not close it. He just pointed outside. "Go. I do not need a granddaughter who lies." Those words left his mouth at 8:53 on a Thursday evening in March. The rain was coming down so hard it bounced off the porch steps. The wind had already knocked a branch from the maple tree in the front yard. The temperature had dropped 14 degrees in the last 2 hours. Lily stood up from the stairs. She did not argue. She did not raise her voice. She picked up her backpack, slipped both arms through the straps, and walked to the door. She was wearing pajamas, cotton pants with little stars on them, a long-sleeved shirt that said, "Future Scientist." No shoes, no jacket, no phone. She stepped through the doorway, and the rain hit her at once. Within seconds, her hair was flat against her face. My father shut the door behind her. Next door, Mrs. Calloway was rinsing her dinner plate when she heard the sound. She looked through her kitchen window and saw a small figure walking down the sidewalk. In the rain, in pajamas, bare feet against the wet concrete. She picked up her phone and called emergency services. "There is a child walking outside alone in this storm," she said. "She just came out of the house next door." Inside my parents' house, my mother sat down at the kitchen table. She held the pearl necklace in both hands and stared at it. "Ray," she said quietly, "maybe we should let her back in. She'll get sick. She'll come back when she's ready to apologize." Jenna put on her coat. "I need to get home before the roads get bad. Tyler, let's go." Tyler did not move right away. He stood in the doorway, looking at the closed front door. He stayed there for about 5 seconds. Then he followed his mother to the garage. No one went after Lily. No one checked the porch. No one looked out the window. My daughter walked 4 blocks in a thunderstorm before she found a storm drain large enough to crawl into. She sat inside it, hugging her knees, holding her backpack over her head until the flashing lights found her. The officer who found her was named Gutierrez. His patrol unit was responding to Mrs. Calloway's call. He drove the route 3 times before his flashlight caught the reflection from Lily's backpack inside a concrete drainage opening 4 blocks from my parents' house. Lily was shaking so badly she could not speak. Her feet were scraped from walking barefoot on the pavement. Her lips had turned pale. She held her backpack against her chest like a shield. Officer Gutierrez wrapped her in a thermal blanket from his trunk and called for an ambulance. The EMTs arrived 9 minutes later. They took her to County General. Cold exposure, scrapes on both knees, injuries to the bottoms of both feet, dehydration, a racing heart. She was not in critical condition, but she was not okay. At the hospital, a nurse checked Lily's backpack for identification. Inside the front pocket, tucked into the same slot where Tyler had placed the pearl necklace, she found a small plastic card. Lily's military dependent, ID Lily Ingram. Emergency contact, First Lieutenant Darcy Ingram. The nurse dialed the number at 9:37. I was sitting on my hotel bed 12 minutes away, staring at the ceiling and counting the hours until Rivera could file the paperwork, when my phone rang with a local number. "This is County General Hospital. We have your daughter, Lily Ingram. She was brought in by police about 20 minutes ago." I was in my car before the nurse finished explaining. I drove 11 minutes through the rain. I parked crooked in the emergency lot and ran through the sliding doors. A nurse looked up from the desk. "Room 4, she said, pointing down the hall. I found Lily in a hospital bed. An IV drip was attached to her left arm. The monitors beside her beeped softly. Her hair was still damp, her eyes were closed. I sat down beside her and took her hand. "I'm here," I whispered. "I'm not leaving." Her eyes opened. "Mommy." "Yeah, baby, I'm right here." In her other hand, crumpled gently against her palm, was a drawing. 2 stick figures, one small, one dressed in green, holding hands. 20 minutes later, a woman in a gray cardigan and glasses knocked on the open door. She had a badge on a lanyard and a clipboard tucked under her arm. "I'm Nancy Odom, the hospital social worker. Do you have a moment?" I did not let go of Lily's hand. "Come in." She pulled a chair to the foot of the bed and sat down. Professional. Careful. The kind of careful that told me she had done this before and understood exactly how these situations could unfold. "I'm required by law to file a report with Child Protective Services," she said. "An 8-year-old was admitted tonight after being found outside in severe weather, and no legal guardian was present at the time of the incident." "I understand. Can you tell me your relationship to the patient?" "I'm her mother, Darcy Ingram, First Lieutenant, United States Army, currently stationed at Fort Campbell." I handed her my military ID. She copied the information onto her form. "Who was responsible for Lily this evening?" "My parents, Ray and Connie Ingram. They are her designated caregivers under my military family care plan." "Was she sent out of the house?" "I believe so. The neighbor who called emergency services is Phyllis Calloway. She lives next door. She can confirm what she saw." Nancy wrote for a full minute without looking up. Then she said, "CPS will open an investigation within 24 hours. An investigator will contact the caregivers and conduct interviews." "I understand." She looked at me over her glasses. "Is there anything else you want me to know?" "My daughter has been living with my parents for just over a year," I said. "I have documentation of ongoing concerns, school counselor reports, behavioral observations, communication logs. I can provide all of it. Please do." After she left, I called Rivera. "It's happening," I said. "CPS is filing tonight." "I'm driving to Campbell now," Rivera said. "I'll be there by morning." I did not have to make a single accusation. I only answered the questions. And for the first time, the system began moving on its own. 1 hour and 12 minutes after I arrived at the hospital, the door to room 4 opened again. My father walked in. He saw Lily first. Small body in a hospital bed. IV tube running to her arm. Monitors blinking green beside her. Her pajamas had been replaced with a hospital gown 2 sizes too big. The color drained from his face. Then he turned and saw me sitting in the chair beside the bed, still wearing my army jacket, the one with my name stitched over the left pocket. His hands began to shake, both of them. His fingers trembled against his thighs like he was trying to hold on to something that kept slipping away. "You," he said. "You can't be here. How did you get here?" "I've been here for an hour, Dad." "You're supposed to be overseas. You're deployed." "I came back early." His mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. No words came out. My mother stepped in behind him. She saw Lily, and her hand flew to her mouth. Then she saw me, and the tears started instantly. The kind of tears that already had excuses waiting behind them. If you had been here, none of this would have happened. I looked at her and held her gaze. "I trusted you to be here for her, Mom." My father tried to recover. "She took your mother's necklace. No, she didn't." Tyler is 10 years old, and we are not having this conversation in a hospital room." A nurse appeared in the doorway. "I need to ask the visitors to keep their voices down, please." I stood, not quickly, not aggressively. I simply stood. "Dad, "Mom, I think you should leave. CPS will be contacting you tomorrow." My father's face shifted from pale to red in seconds. "CPS? You called CPS on your own parents?" "The hospital did," I said. "Because that is what happens when an 8-year-old ends up in the emergency room during a thunderstorm with no guardian beside her." He opened his mouth to argue. I waited. He closed it. They left without another word. My mother's crying echoed down the hallway long after the elevator doors closed. After midnight, the hospital grew quiet. The fluorescent lights dimmed to a low hum. Shoes squeaked softly against the linoleum. Somewhere down the hall, a monitor beeped in a slow, steady rhythm. I pulled my chair closer to Lily's bed and rested my elbows on the railing. She woke up around 1 a.m. Her eyes opened slowly. She looked at me like she was not completely sure I was real. "Am I in trouble?" "No, baby," I said. "You are never in trouble for telling the truth." She was quiet for a while. Then, in a voice so small it barely reached the pillow, she said, "Tyler put the necklace in my bag." I stayed still. She kept going. "I saw him do it after school. He went into the guest room when he thought I was upstairs. But I was on the stairs, I saw him. Why didn't you tell Grandpa?" "Because Grandpa wouldn't listen. He never listens when it's about Tyler." I smoothed her hair back from her forehead. It was still damp near the roots. "I know," I whispered, "and I'm going to make sure the right people listen this time." She closed her eyes. Her breathing slowed. Her grip on my hand loosened, but she did not let go. I sat in the dark for a long time after that, listening to the monitors, watching the IV drip count the seconds. Then I opened my phone and typed an email to Rivera. Subject line, "Evidence package, CPS investigation, Ingram." I attached everything: the school counselor's session notes, the scanned drawings, Mrs. Calloway's phone number, a summary of our conversation, the hospital intake form the nurse had given me, my family care plan documents, every screenshot, every log entry, every line from the green notebook. For 2 years, I had trusted the wrong people with my daughter. That night, sitting in that hospital chair, I started trusting the right ones. 72 hours later, my parents walked into a room they never thought they would have to face. My daughter had ended up in a hospital bed because the people I trusted most had sent her into a storm. I did not scream. I did not threaten. I did not give my father the reaction he would know how to use against me. I stayed quiet, and I let the system do what it was designed to do. Ms. Torres arrived at my parents' house on Monday morning at 9:15. She was the CPS investigator assigned to the case. 14 years on the job, short hair, no-nonsense posture, a leather portfolio thick with forms tucked under one arm. She interviewed Ray and Connie separately. Standard protocol. My father gave his version first. "The girl was acting out," he said. "I told her to sit on the porch and think about what she had done. She ran off on her own." My mother's version was different. "Ray was upset," she said. "She went outside for some air. I thought she would come right back in." Ms. Torres wrote both statements down. Then she noted the difference. He said he told Lily to sit on the porch. My mother said Lily went outside for air. One version made it an order. The other made it a choice. They could not both be true. Next, Ms. Torres interviewed Mrs. Calloway at her kitchen table. Phyllis had her own notes. She had been writing things down since November. Times, dates, things she heard through the shared wall between the houses, things she saw from her kitchen window. "He opened the front door," Mrs. Calloway said. "He pushed the child's backpack at her. She was in her pajamas, no shoes. He told her to get out." Ms. Torres looked up from her notebook. "Those were his exact words?" "He said, 'Get out. I do not need a lying granddaughter.' Then he shut the door. I called emergency services within 30 seconds. Ms. Torres wrote the quote in block letters. Then she underlined it. That sentence went into the official CPS file, not as rumor, not as an accusation, as a direct witness statement from a 70-year-old woman with no reason to lie and a clear view from her kitchen window. My father had spent 61 years controlling the story inside his own house. He did not know the walls were thinner than he thought. The child specialist assigned to Tyler's interview was named Dr. Kessler. She was young, patient, and trained in forensic interview techniques for minors. Jenna was allowed to be in the room according to protocol, but she was told not to coach him or interrupt. Tyler sat across a small table with a cup of juice and a stress ball in his hands. "Tyler," Dr. Kessler said gently, "can you tell me what happened with the necklace?" "I saw Lily put it in her backpack." "What time was that?" "After school." "Where were you when you saw her?" "In the kitchen." "And where was Lily?" "In the hallway." "Can you see the hallway from the kitchen?" Tyler paused. I was in the hallway too." "Were you in the kitchen or the hallway?" He squeezed the stress ball. "The living room. I saw her from the living room." 3 locations in 30 seconds. Dr. Kessler did not point it out. She simply wrote it down. Then she said, "Tyler, sometimes kids feel pressure to say things because they are scared or because someone told them to. It is okay to tell the truth here. Nothing bad will happen to you for telling the truth." Tyler looked at his mother. Jenna's face was still as stone. Tyler whispered, "I put it in her bag." Jenna cut in immediately. "He's confused. He doesn't know what he's saying." Dr. Kessler looked at her calmly. "Ma'am, please let Tyler finish." Tyler stared at the stress ball in his hands. His voice dropped even lower. "Mom told me Lily needed to learn her place. She said if Lily got in trouble, Grandpa would send her away, and things would go back to normal." Jenna stood up. Tyler did not look at her. The room went very quiet. Ms. Torres conducted Jenna's interview in a separate room. By then, she had Tyler's statement, Mrs. Calloway's account, the school counselor's documentation, and the hospital report. "Mrs. Walsh," Ms. Torres asked, "did you instruct your son to place the necklace in Lily's backpack?" Jenna's jaw tightened. "That is ridiculous. Your son stated that you told him Lily needed to learn her place. He also stated that you said if Lily got in trouble, your father would send her away." "He is a child. He makes things up. You are going to believe a child over me?" Ms. Torres set her pen down and looked at Jenna without blinking. "Ma'am, believing a child's false statement is what put an 8-year-old in the hospital. So yes, I take children's statements seriously." Jenna pushed her chair back. "I'm calling my lawyer." "That is your right," Ms. Torres said. "This investigation will continue regardless." Then Ms. Torres placed the pearl necklace on the table inside a clear evidence bag. It had been recovered from Lily's backpack at the hospital and catalogued by the responding officer. This necklace was placed in an 8-year-old girl's bag by a 10-year-old boy who says he was told to do it by his mother, Ms. Torres said. The result was that a child was sent out of the home during a severe thunderstorm, without shoes, without a jacket, and without supervision. She spent 3 hours alone in a storm drain. Jenna stared at the necklace. The pearls caught the overhead light. Under the fluorescent bulbs, they looked smaller than they ever had on my mother's dresser. Jenna said nothing else. She picked up her phone and left the room. The supervised meeting took place at the CPS County office on Wednesday afternoon. A rectangular table, overhead fluorescent lights, a recording device in the center. On one side sat my parents. My father wore a button-down shirt he had clearly ironed himself. My mother wore the cardigan she usually saved for church. Their lawyer, a man named Lester, sat between them. On the other side sat me. Captain Rivera was beside me in her dress uniform. My documentation was stacked neatly in a manila folder. At the head of the table sat Ms. Torres. Jenna was not there. Jenna had refused to attend after Tyler's interview. Ms. Torres began the meeting by presenting her findings: inconsistent statements from Ray and Connie, Tyler's admission, Mrs. Calloway's witness account, 6 months of school counselor documentation, hospital records confirming what Lily had gone through that night. My father tried to interrupt twice. Both times, Lester placed a hand on his arm. The third time, my father could not hold it in anymore. "This is a family matter," he said. "You are turning a discipline issue into—" Ms. Torres cut in calmly. "Mr. Ingram, an 8-year-old was treated at the hospital after being outside in severe weather. This is a child welfare matter." My mother began to cry. Quiet tears rolled down the lines in her face. "We love Lily," she said. "We made a mistake. One mistake." I looked at her across the table and kept my voice steady. "You said if I had been here, none of this would have happened. But I trusted you to be there for her. That was my mistake, and I will not make it again." Rivera opened my folder. Family Care Plan Revocation. Already filed. Request for sole custody review. Submitted to Family Court. documentation of the $1,200 per month my parents had received for Lily's care. All of it was now on the record. My father stared at the stack of paperwork. "You are going to throw away your own family over this." I looked at him. "You sent my daughter into a storm, Dad. I am building her a roof." I did not raise my voice. I did not need to. At the end of the meeting, Ms. Torres delivered the preliminary findings, a substantiated child welfare report against Ray and Connie Ingram. Her recommendation was clear: no unsupervised access to Lily Ingram pending a full review. Any future contact would take place at a monitored visitation facility, 2-hour visits, every other week. Rivera confirmed the rest. The family care plan had been officially revoked. Lily's legal guardianship had returned to me. The custody order would be formalized through family court within 30 days. My father stood up. His chair scraped against the floor. His hands were shaking again, the same way they had in the hospital, that same tremor starting in his fingers and moving into his wrists. "Darcy," he said, "she is my granddaughter." "She is," I said, "and that is exactly why this has to happen." My mother reached across the table for my arm. Her fingers brushed my sleeve. I gently pulled my hand away, not quickly, not angrily, just enough to draw the line. "Mom, I love you, but loving someone does not mean letting them mistreat your child." She pulled her hand back and pressed it against her mouth. Lester stood and gathered his papers. He looked at my parents with the expression of a man who knew his clients had very little left to stand on. He shook Ms. Torres's hand. Then he nodded at Rivera and guided Ray and Connie toward the door. My father stopped in the doorway. He turned back and opened his mouth. Then he looked at the table, at the revocation papers, the custody request, the witness statements, the hospital records. And he closed his mouth again. He left without saying another word. My mother followed him. The door clicked shut behind them. I walked out of the CPS office into a hallway that smelled like floor cleaner and burnt coffee. Lily was in the lobby. Rivera's paralegal, a young sergeant named Kim, had been reading her a book from the waiting room shelf, something about a dog who lost his bone. Lily looked up when she heard my footsteps. Then she slid off the chair and ran to me, her arms wrapped around my waist. She pressed her face into my jacket. "Are we going home?" "Yes, baby," I said. "We are going home." She pulled back and looked up at me. "Our home?" "Our home." I took her hand. Her backpack hung from one shoulder. I could see the edge of her military-dependent ID still clipped inside the pocket. The same card I had placed there the night before I deployed. I had clipped that card to her backpack because I trusted my parents to keep her safe. But when the adults failed, when the system almost failed, and when the storm came, that small piece of plastic with my name on it was what brought her back to me, not my parents. Not my sister. A laminated card, and a nurse who cared enough to dial the number on the back. We walked out into the parking lot. The sun was out, the first clear day in a week. I did not look back. 3 months later, Lily and I were living on base at Fort Campbell, a small apartment, 2 bedrooms. Her room had lavender curtains she had picked out herself, and a desk where she drew every evening after dinner. I had been reassigned to a stateside desk position in logistics coordination. No deployments for at least 12 months. My commander approved it without hesitation. Family court finalized the custody order in April. Sole physical and legal custody belonged to me. My parents were granted supervised visitation, 2 hours every other Saturday at a monitored facility 20 minutes from their house. A social worker present for every visit. The first visit happened in May. My father brought Lily a coloring book filled with horses and flowers. He set it on the table between them and sat down in a plastic chair. He did not know what to say. Lily did not know what to say either, so they colored together for 45 minutes. My father asked her about school. She told him about art class. He did not raise his voice. He did not mention Tyler. He did not mention Jenna. He did not mention the necklace, and he did not mention the storm. When the 2 hours ended, he stood and said, "I'll see you in 2 weeks, Lily." She said, "Okay, Grandpa." He walked out to the parking lot and sat in his truck for 10 minutes before driving away. I know because the social worker told me. Jenna had not contacted me since the CPS meeting. Her husband, Derek, came back from his oil rig rotation and had to be told the full story. Derek and Jenna enrolled Tyler in counseling as CPS required. In June, Tyler sent Lily a handwritten note. "I'm sorry I lied about the necklace. I hope you're not mad." Lily read it twice. Then she looked up at me. "Do I have to write back?" "No, baby," I said. "That is your choice." 3 days later, she wrote a note of her own. "It's okay. I hope you're doing better." My mother called me every Sunday evening. The conversations were short. "How is Lily?" "She's doing well, Mom." "Can I send her something?" "You can send it to our address." "Darcy, the schedule is set, Mom. We'll see you on Saturday." My father's hands still shook when he saw Lily at the visitation center. I did not know if it was guilt, or fear, or something he did not have a name for yet. But every other Saturday, he sat in that room for 2 hours. And he never raised his voice. He never called her a lying granddaughter again. Not once. I used to think protecting my daughter meant giving her a roof, food, clothes, and people around her. I was wrong. Protecting her meant making sure the people around her deserved to be there, and when they did not, it meant having the courage to say, "Enough." Not with shouting, not with revenge, just with the truth, with a stack of paperwork, and with a mother who finally came home. That is my story. One storm, one lie, and one mother who came home just in time. If this story reminded you that protecting your child is never an overreaction, share it with someone who needs to hear that today. Thank you for being here. Leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next story.